Before we get to part two of my interview with Natasha Schull about casino design, gambling addiction, et cetera, which people yesterday really seemed to like that interview, I want to talk about one more aspect of Donald Trump's proposed tax reform. We went into significant detail about the tax reform at the beginning of the show. Here's just one other aspect of it, a sort of legal aspect. Just like Donald Trump's embarrassing attempt to repeal Obamacare, Trump's tax plan could also quickly fail in Congress. Most, if not all, Republicans would love to pass Donald Trump's tax plan. It makes big tax cuts. It reduces the corporate tax rate by more than 50%. It has no way to make up for lost revenue. This is the kind of plan that right-wingers sort of live for. But even though both houses of Congress are majority Republican, these tax cut proposals from Trump are so outrageous that they might actually violate Senate rules. This is not some left-wing talking point that I'm presenting to you. This is according to a staffer for Republican Congressman Paul Ryan. George Callis is Paul Ryan's senior tax counsel. He ridiculed the tax plan, saying it's a, quote, magic unicorn, because of how outrageous it is. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I want to, it's a very, very important point here. A plan of business tax cuts that has no offsets, to use some very esoteric language, is not a thing. It's not a real thing, and people can come up with whatever plans they want. That is not only can that not pass Congress, it cannot even begin to move through Congress day one. And there are political reasons for that. Number one, members wouldn't vote for it. But there are also statutory, legal reasons why that can't happen. What the reconciliation rules say, they say that you cannot have a deficit increase beyond the 10-year window.
Okay, so here's what he's talking about. Since Democrats won't be voting for Donald Trump's tax plan, Republicans, in theory, have to abide by the Senate's budget reconciliation rules to prevent filibustering and pass the resolution by a simple majority, okay? Under those rules, written into federal statute, the new budget wouldn't be able to increase the deficit for more than 10 years. That's why the Bush tax cuts were set to expire after 10 years. Donald Trump's proposed tax cuts are so drastic that they would affect the deficit even after they expire. So in order to prevent it from adding to the deficit beyond 10 years, you'd have to expire it long before 10 years. In fact, the Joint Committee on Taxation, this is just unbelievable, says that Trump's corporate tax cuts would need to expire in less than 3 years to avoid increasing the deficit for more than 10 years. That's how deficit exploding they are. So in order to pass Trump's tax plan, the Senate would have to make the corporate tax cut end after about 2.5 years, which basically makes it meaningless. It would end before Donald Trump's first term even ends. It's possible that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell might be able to figure out some kind of maneuver on the Senate floor. But according to this particular tax lawyer that I quoted, Trump's tax plan is coming from such a fantasy land that there is actual federal law in place meant to keep something like this from being passed. So what is Trump thinking? He either didn't know about the rule, very likely, or he thinks some Democrats might vote for the plan. I don't think that's too likely. The most likely scenario is, as usual, Trump is clueless and he's fumbling around in the dark. And this could be the next shamefully, hilariously failed proposal. We can hope, and we'll be following it. This is a discussion happening on our Reddit discussion forum at davidpakman.com/Reddit. Today's program is made possible in part by Gamefly, which is sort of like Netflix for video games. They've got over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can also stream games. You don't even need a gaming console or a computer because you can stream games through your Amazon Fire Stick or Roku box and then use your mobile phone as the controller. You can play as many games as you want for one monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, you can buy them for a low used price, never with due dates or late fees. And our audience can get a 30-day free trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included, no contracts, and you can also stream the games. I think I mentioned that. You can also rent games through the mobile app. Get a free 30-day trial for David Pakman Show viewers and listeners, and support our show at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.